Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi, and I am here from ServiceNow. I am the guy with the bow tie, sporting lavender and purple this morning. It's good to see you again. This is October 1st, 2019. Hard to believe we're in the final quarter of 2019, but happy October 1st to you, wherever you are and whenever you are, as I mentioned. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. Welcome. Looks like a lot of people are joining us. Apologies, I had a slip of the finger, and you may have gotten the notification before the stream actually started, and it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. We got it straightened away. So good to see you. Good to have you here. If you are, I'm not even on the right screen. Let's start out with the community. This is the community live stream where I bring you not only the answers to questions that people have, but the thought process that goes on behind those questions so that you can take those skills of discovery and learning to your organization to be a more effective ServiceNow administrator and or developer. Seeing a lot of familiar names showing up. Shane J, John Feist, Carolyn. Good to see everybody that is out there in the world. I don't know what happened yesterday. Couldn't interact with you, but today I am seeing those happy faces, and it is good to see you as well. So subscribe to the community channel at the URL that you see right there, and mark that notification thing to turn on notifications. You will get notified just like, let's see if it's up there, just like that, where you see, hey, community live stream is live. I get them on my phone. You may choose to get them on your desktop, wherever you want. I do this show. I have moved it back an hour, so it is now 2 p.m. UTC. I'm not even sure what time zone my head is in, but at 2 p.m. UTC we'll do this. It was a little brutal getting up that extra hour earlier every day. So still doing this, still have a lot of reach around the globe to the people that are just going to bed or enjoying their evening, or maybe they're watching this instead of some award ceremony or something on Netflix. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I hope this is worth your time. We also do this on Twitch. Hit that Twitch button. And if you want to use that as a backup plan in case YouTube is somehow wonky or failing you, whatever it is, go over to twitch.tv/NOWCommunity and you can watch there as well. Although I don't keep an eye on the comments quite as closely. So I encourage you to do that. This is all about the community. If you've got a question that goes beyond a hello, how are you? Yesterday wasn't our Now live stream. For whatever reason, my software latched onto whatever stream was available. There's something going on. I'm working that out with the community team because we're doing other live streams, and it's leaving behind an artifact from the last stream. The last stream was Thursday the 26th. It was an Ask the Expert session. And when my software came up, it went, hey, I'm just going to use the last stream, which is usually me, but since I haven't done it in a while, it's not there. And it pulled that up. I was able to correct that in the way that it's presented now that it's been recorded. So now it's working. I made sure that my end had the right live stream link on it, and we're going to go forward from there. So if you want to post in the community, make sure that you get your questions in the right community subsection. There are a number of them. If you go over to communities on the side, you'll see. And I'm noticing this morning there are a lot down here in governance, risk, and compliance, making me wish that I knew more about GRC, that I could help out there. But whatever your question is, make sure you get in the right sub-community so that you get the right people looking at your question. If you're posting it in GRC and it happens to be about your personal developer instance, probably not the right spot. So look for that, get in the right spot. One question per post makes it easier for people to respond, makes it easier for people to find the question, and for you to mark it as correct, and you can move on and say, yeah, I got the answer to that one. If you put 10 questions in there, you might have 3 answered and 7 never get answered. And what's the status of this? And people will look by it and go, well, nothing was answered here. So do a little exploration, browse around, check and see if your question's already been answered before, and you'll have a much better experience in the community over at community.servicenow.com. Got to throw the bell in there. And after community, I also want to invite you to go over to the developer portal, developer.servicenow.com, where you can get your own free personal developer instance now running the latest release on New York. If you're not on New York, get your PTI upgraded to New York and check out all those free features. You can find out more about what's in New York at a technical level from our Tech Now episode that you can find on the community. Just search for Tech Now episode list. It'll find you there. And Episode 67 has all the New York platform features, lots of stuff in Integration Hub, lots of stuff in Flow Designer. We take you into the APIs. We take you into a lot of interesting stuff Guided App Creator is new. We will be doing that. I'll get to that in a little bit in our webinar. There's the developer portal also has information about events. There are meetups. There are other things. There's API documentation. If you've been there, you know all this stuff. But if you haven't been there, this is new. This is a great resource. If you're an admin who wants to become a developer, if you're a developer who needs more resource information, I'm always looking there for what is the parameters for this, or what is an example of a script that does that. Great stuff over there. There's learning plans. So if you haven't done development before and you want to try that out, go to the Learn menu. There's free learning plans that you can go through to get that. Get yourself a free personal developer instance. Meetups, there's a ton of ServiceNow developer meetups. You can click on this banner when it comes up or go to the events and it will show you. This takes you to meetup.com/ServiceNow dev program. Get that URL up there for you. And that looks a lot like that. We've got 56 chapters around the world. These are developer-run events. ServiceNow doesn't run them. ServiceNow doesn't tell you what you need to do with them. We put some framework out there. We help build the content that you can share. But really, this is a meetup for developers. We sponsor them. We help you out. But this is we're not going to get up there and preach about what it is you should be doing, unless, of course, you ask us. Say, hey, can Dave or Chuck or Jason or Andrew come out and tell us what are the best practices for this, or what's new in that. We'll do our best to get there. So I will be attending the developer meetups in Washington, D.C. as part of Now at Work D.C. and Sydney. I'll also be at Frankfurt, but as I mentioned yesterday, there isn't a Frankfurt meetup. So find one in your area, join up with those people, find out what they're talking about, what they're doing, and leverage those resources. Great way to share information. I mentioned Now at Work, and I want to throw that out there. You can find that with some of the other events. Let me just throw that up first. Other events like live demos and webinars and conferences and ServiceNow user groups are all posted on the events page. And one of those things that is posted on the events page is Now at Work. It's sort of like knowledge coming to your town or coming to a venue near you. Check out and see where it's going. If you go to the events page, it's the big banner right at the top. Otherwise, you can scroll down here to where it says Now at Work. You get to the same page and it says, here they come. There's a whole bunch coming to the Americas: Toronto, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C. I mentioned I'll be in D.C. That's got a CreatorCon event attached to it. We've got Europe, Amsterdam, London, Frankfurt, Paris. Some of these are just days away. London, October 16th, 17th. Toronto, if I remember right, is October 8th. That's 1 week from today. So if you haven't signed up, go to the events page, look for Now at Work, and look for one in your area. There are a couple in Asia Pacific, Tokyo and Sydney. I will be at the Sydney one November 13th and 14th, doing some workshops on the 13th and then working the floor on the 14th. So Jason McKee and I will be there. A number of other ServiceNow people obviously will be there to help with that. So Now at Work, if you didn't get knowledge and you don't think you'll be able to get to the next knowledge, this is the next best thing. It's like a mini knowledge that travels all over the place. All right, I mentioned meetup.com. We mentioned the events. I even mentioned knowledge, but real quickly, May 3rd through 7th in Orlando, Florida, next May. I think I mentioned May already. Great way to see the big show. This is 20,000 plus people, lots of networking opportunities, lots of hands-on, lots of customer-led sessions. So wherever you are on your ServiceNow journey, wherever you are in your organization, whether you are an admin, a developer, a CIO, there is something at Knowledge for you. So get ready for the sign-up. I believe we'll be doing call for papers later in Q4, early in Q1. So if you've got ideas, now's the time to start working with your colleagues, working with your boss and say, hey, this is an idea I have for presenting at Knowledge. What do you think? So if you have any suggestions, have any ideas, and you'd like to vet them out, certainly reach out to us and we could say, that might be something somebody's interested in. Or maybe if we tweak it in this direction. So get your ideas together. This is the time. It's now Q4. It's October 1st, and it's going to be January 1st before we know it. The other thing I want to remind you of is our upcoming Tech Now Tuesday on October 22nd. We are going to be doing Guided App Creator. That is the new experience for starting to build an app where you can build not only the tables, but the experience. Get some of that experience. And what do I mean by experience? I mean, you can do your mobile app with pretty much one click. You can build an entire mobile app. Say, hey, I've got these 3 tables. I want to have ways for people to access them and edit them. Click, it's done. Mobile, very, very fast on the Now Mobile and Agent apps that you can get for iOS and Android. You can also import spreadsheets directly, so you don't have to create the table first. It will infer field names and whatnot from the headers. And you can also create Workspace, that new immersive place where your agents work all day and all night in a very efficient and effective manner. So I'll show you how you can do that. Join me, Craig Stepp, and our newest team member, Jeremy Duncan, on the 22nd. Get signed up over at that bit.ly link that you see at the bottom, /TN69Reg. We've done 69 episodes of Tech Now, and the juggernaut continues. All right, one last reminder, the JavaScript series is out there, so not sure why my face didn't pop up on that one. Let's see, put that back there. Okay, I have a keyboard macro that's out of whack. Go over to that bit.ly link, sn-learn JavaScript or JS, and you can get up to speed or reference. If you say, you know what, how does that for each loop thing work again? You could just go watch a short video on for each loop, or do while, or arrays of objects, whatever it is you feel you need to brush up on. This is basic JavaScript. It's not deep into the ServiceNow methodology. You're not going to find things on Glide Ajax and Service Portal. This is how do I read and understand the basic foundations of JavaScript so that you can be comfortable or even begin to do your own development projects. That is all we've got on that road journey. Let's begin with a nice sip of warm tea. Herbal tea, and away we go. Okay, I want to get through all that good stuff. I'm going to do a quick refresh on YouTube. Good morning, Steve from Sweden. We will begin by going to refresh the homepage, and now hit the unreplied. I like to start by looking. You know what? Before we even do that, I did have one that came up before the show that I wanted to share. This is just a little FYI. Some of you may be familiar with this, some not. This is a person who is looking to put a link in a UI action, and they said, "Hey, I want to go to screquest.do to this sysid and then sysparm_view. Sysparm_view sets the view. So what do I mean by view? View is just a different way of displaying the same data from the table in a different operation, a different perspective, a different lens, if you will. So some people may need 6 fields, some people may need 60 fields. If I go to, a good example of this is the incident list, and I pull up an incident, I've got Joe employee, and you see up here, it doesn't say what view. If it doesn't say what view, it's the default view. And that refers to the layout of the form and the related lists. You can have different related lists on different views. If I go to view, and you need to view_change your role to do this, I am admin. This is my personal developer instance that I got from developer.servicenow.com. I have different views configured. For example, self-service is going to be a lot simpler. People may not even want to expose who this is assigned to. So I can see this is a different view of that data and no related list. So that is even different. You can even configure which UI actions are there based on the view. And up here it says self-service view in brackets. However, even though it says self-service view, what they may be trying to do, and I wanted to double check this with them, is where'd it go? Did I lose it? Did I click right through it? What tab was it on? It's not on that tab. Oh, because it came off of this note. Okay, it's over there. Sorry. They're saying account_request. And I said, are you sure that's the name of your view? Because the name doesn't necessarily, they may just have guessed and said, well, if I called it account request, it's got to be called account_request. This is not called self-service view. This view is actually called ESS. How do I know that? Well, for one, I can go up here into the URL, copy that into some place where I can see it much better. Go to Files, New, Paste, and somewhere in here I've got sysparm under view. And You know what? If I don't, you know what? That one's actually set by, oh, it's not set by a rule. Why doesn't it say sysparm view? That's interesting. It should say sysparm view. But you can force the URL to do that. The view name for that one is actually called ESS. How do I know that? Because I've been around a while. And if you want to find out what the view name actually is, that's the view title. So the view title starts with self and goes to ESS is the name. So if I want to specify that as a sysparm underscore view equals something, it has to be sysparm view equals ESS. Note that the default view is not called default. If you put default or default underscore view, you will have a new view called default underscore view. The title of default view is actually equates to nothing. So if you want the default view on any form, you specify nothing as sysparm under view. Just leave it off and you'll get the default view. So that's a little bit of views. There are things called view rules, which can analyze the data on the table record and say, based on this information, you are going to this view. The other way you could do that is, say, under self-service, where I've got incidents. If I edit that module, it may be forced upon me just by what I clicked. So it says incidents open on your behalf. It's a link type. And in here, it says, you know, I swear it was in here at one point. Doesn't it say self-service? I'm probably still in the self-service view. Let's go to incidents.list. I thought I understood how all this worked, but apparently not. So that's still in self-service view. If I go to view default, select that, and now go back to self-service incidents. There it is. In here, somehow it's getting that. Because I look at the URL on the bottom, and it says sysparm under view equals ESS. I know you probably can't read that, but trust me. If I edit it, I would think it would be in here. How come this is not a link type list of records? What is this? Display name incidents, application. This is a weird module. It has arguments, but what is an argument to? Huh. I would expect this to say list of records, have a sysparm equals there. Is there an advanced view? This makes no sense. Let's... Oh man, I'm going to have to dissect this and figure it out. This is very, very peculiar. How does this link know to invoke the ESS view? Because it does. If I click it, it now says self-service view, and it has these arguments that are up there. But nowhere in this module do I see where it's saying, go to the incidents table. This is just a display name. This doesn't say list of record. Let's, is there a view on this? No. It says pop up. John says it's legacy view. You mean the module view of the table that I'm looking at? Because I can also look at it this way and see the modules under self-service. Maybe there is view name is not on the form and it's not on the list. So let's go with that. Interesting, because it would say list of records and then pop up a table. So table for incidents. Okay, it's there. You're right. The form is weird. Look at the XML. I always forget to do that. So here's this, and there's the view. You are correct. We should look at the XML. Let's go back into that. Same way I did before. Okay, so click the pencil. And yeah, I would say this form view is a bit inept. That's the polite way I'm going to put it. It needs some help. If I view the XML, this isn't the most novice way of looking at this, but I have in here the table, which is often called, where is it? Let's just search. Filter table, sysname incidents, title incidents, name. Okay, that is the actual table. Goofy, isn't it? How would you know that name is the table? Because, well, it's not on the form. View, sorry, show XML. Show XML shows you everything in the record that was retrieved. And then your view is going to be down here. View name is ESS. Okay. Wow, that was a roundabout way of talking about somebody's. We made a lot. Thank you for reminding me about the XML, John. That was very helpful. There are some people that gravitate that really fast. I know Andrew Barnes is one of them. I always forget. And I usually go back to a list and throw something on the form or on the list. Okay. So, did we get that out of our system? Flow Designer, first effort. Let's see what's going on here. It was posted a little while ago. I suspect there might be a response by now. Nope. I've created my first proper workflow in Flow Designer and have a quick question. I'm trying to redirect the flow to ask for an approval if there's a user in IT. So if requested item requested for department is technology, then ask for approval. Okay, requested item record, walks to request, walks to requested for department. When I test this with the request item for myself, the evaluation says false, but it shouldn't be. I think I'm close and greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Can I see anything out of here? It says sysid equals technology and change. If it equals technology and change. So what they're doing is asking for this. The other option, have you tried throwing in a log? Okay, they're looking at the operational view. After it runs, it will tell you, hey, this is what I got out of that data pill. I know it's really, really tiny on your screen, but it says trigger requested item record, request, walk to requested for, walk to department, if it equals technology and change. Did they type that in or did they choose that? Because it should be a sysid, and that does not equal. Okay, what I'm seeing is a sysid trying to be equal to a string. You need both values to be the same. What appears to be the same to you is telling a different story in the operational view. Thank you. The pictures were worth a million words. Pictures were worth a million words. You want that to be whatever that number is, sysid of technology and what was it? Technology and change equals same sysid. Although you should be able to, I would think there's a place to pick the actual group object and not hard code the sysid. Check around. I haven't looked exactly for that comparison yet. We could probably try that. Let's see what happens. Let's go to Flow Designer. We haven't done a Flow Designer thing in quite a while. And if you haven't looked at Flow Designer, think of it as super duper easy to use, very configurable business rules. Okay. I don't think of it as a replacement for workflow. I think of it as a schedule jobs and business rules replacement. And it's got a lot of the functionality from workflows like approvals and integrations. So let's do a new flow. We'll call this one department check. I'm going to do a similar kind of thing. We'll make that global. Who cares? We'll run it by the system user. Who cares? And we'll set the trigger. What was this trigger record? Request? I think. Maybe. Trigger requested item record. Okay, so it was requested item. Where'd Flow Designer go? So let's do updated. Let's see, request item, just down here. We'll just run that once. Invalid selection. The requested item table may not be used as record triggers. Oh, interesting. Let's do that again, just to see the error message. See request item. It might be my instance because I'm configured to use either workflow or flow designer for the catalog. All right, give me that screenshot. That's gone. Okay. Preview, open. You can get a peek at my screen, my desktop files here. Screenshot. Click. Bring that in. I want to copy and paste it. No. Come on. I have the screenshot. There it is. All right, let's do this. Crop that out. Select everything and go back here. I want to know where to go. There it is. Interestingly enough, when I try this on my instance, let me raise that up a bit so we can see it. Get an error when I try to select the SC-rec item table as the trigger. It may be because I have Flow Designer for catalog activated. You may want to consider doing the same instead of trying to attach a flow to a specific flow using conditions. It's a lot more efficient and I got it. And uses the same methodology as the old attach a workflow to a catalog item. All right, put that in there. Yeah, file type not supported, but yet it'll work. Okay. Let's go back to our example, because that's what we like doing. Let's pick a different table that has a group on it. That was a group. No, that was a department. You know what? Let's do incident. Incident has caller, and I can dot walk from caller to department, right? Incident. Okay, so incident, and then if I use a condition, flow logic, if we'll take the trigger record, incident, caller. Oh, there's a U caller in there too. Oops, I didn't want caller ID. I wanted the department. Missed. Trigger, incident, caller, drill into that. Huh. I can't get to the caller's department. Why not? Fascinating. Let's try a different one then. Try that again. Incident. Maybe there's one off of assigned to. Assigned to. There we go. Department. We want the department, and we want that. Oh, really? You can't make. Wow, it should recognize that's a group. I would think this should be improved. What I'm looking for is something more like this. When you do an ask for approval, it gives you this little picker down here and says, choose when anyone approves, and then says, do you want to pick a user? Do you want to add a group? And lets you pick a group. That's what I would think. Like, hey, this is a group reference. Let's put that little icon out there. I'm going to submit an enhancement request directly to the product manager because that's pretty sad if you have to record sysids. Okay, I'm going to post this up. Boo! What if you trigger off the service catalog instead of the record updated? The service catalog would be SCCat item, which those really aren't going to change and they're not going to trigger anything. You want to get a record that's created or updated from the service catalog item, which is going to be either something in SC request or SC rec item. Wow, we are going deep into some of these today. One thing in the inbox. Let's go over to the inbox and see what that one thing is. Maybe it's a response to an earlier question. Don't know. Catalog client script, but not transferring to request item. Okay. Open up that in the content so we can see the whole article. Somebody was trying to write a catalog client script that said, gform set value requested for. And I said, that's not on the item. Okay. This is not a field on SCREC item. It appears on the request item, SCREC item. It appears on the form, oftentimes. So let's pull one of these up. And you can see request is on there, but that is actually dot walked onto the form. You can do that if you haven't done this before through configure form layout. It's not available through configure form design. And whenever you see a field on there, I'm sorry, the requested for, I missed. Requested for. Request is actually on SCREC item. Requested for is not. This is not a field. How do I know? Because if I say show requested for, I right-clicked on that field, it says, I'll be damned. SCREC item, request.requested for. You can see it's dot walked here. That's interesting how it's represented. I did not expect it to see that way. But it's dot walked, and they did that. If I go into configure form layout, I should see, should being the operative word, request.requested for. That says this isn't native to this form. So they're under the false impression that because it's on this form, I can set it with a client script. You cannot. It is a record. It is a field from a related record. So you can't directly impact that with a set value. It's not going to update. What do? Well, if they wanted the default value in there, I said, why don't you look in the dictionary entry for that? So if I say configure dictionary, it's going to take me, waiting for it, to, see, table SC request, requested for. I'm in the global scope. I can set the default value, set it to sender. I could also not use a default dynamic value and just say JavaScript gs.get user ID, and that would say whoever's at the keyboard, you're going to get this. Okay. I never saw that dynamic filter for sender. Did you see that? Let's discard those changes and look under dynamic filters. If you haven't played with dynamic filters, probably the most common one you use is dynamic me when you're looking at filters. Dynamic filter options. I believe Stacy covered these on a previous Tech Now episode. And one of the most common, as I mentioned, is, let's say, oh, we don't really have a dynamic filter in here. They apply to just about anything. No, don't have one in there. So I'm not going to bother with that one, showing you an example of that. Let's put that away. But we were looking for the one called sender. And we have sender. These can apply to either the list filters, as I showed you a minute ago, or catalog items or reference qualifiers. So you can make these available for a lot of different things. Sender does exactly what I did. So depending on where you apply it, you don't have to use JavaScript anymore. That's the point of dynamic filters. So you can stop saying, believe me, I have hard-coded JavaScript /gs.getUserID plenty of times. We don't necessarily want our no-coders out there that are just trying to make a simple filter and say, show me all the things assigned to me. Is dynamic works much better to be able to tap into these things. So look at dynamic filters as a great way to avoid those little scripty bits. What if you trigger off the service? Oh, we already read that one. Sorry. Rereading comments. So let's, I'm going to switch gears now and go to my pool of ideas. And this one came from a post not too long ago think it was Thursday or Friday of last week. No, I'm sorry. A colleague called me up on Friday afternoon and said, hey, I have a service portal question for you. They were going to service portal. Let me bring up my instance. And I went to the service portal home. I'm going to show you a generic example. There is a menu option by default called My Requests. And up here on the menu option, they would pick Requests and said, but wait, Chuck, I made a new table. It's extended from task. And we can certainly do that very quickly. Let's go to System, Studio, and create a new table. Where, oh, where did my studio go? There it is. Let's go into my CLS 528 application. I have no idea if any of these are extended from task, but we'll find out. Here's a work table extended from task. I can see that right there. Very easy to see. And it has all of my lovely task fields. Do I have any records in there? Let's find out. Let's show list. And I have 3 tasks. Let's put a short description in here to make it look wonderful. Task 1, Task 2, Task 3. I'm going to take you through the process I went through with them. It's a reverse engineering, and that's kind of what I want to show you on this show, is how do you get from A to B? If you already know the answer to how do I get these onto the service portal request list, great. I did not, but I figured it out through a little reverse engineering. So first thing I said is, what does that menu option do? What does this actually do? And you can find that under Service Portal menus. So step 1, let's go to Service Portal, menus, and I learned this just by tinkering around with Service Portal. And I have header menu, header menu, header menu, header menu. One is Service Portal Core. I'm not doing Instance Security Center. Service Portal Enterprise. I'm going to guess it's probably this. That's not the config menu. That would be the one I use when I'm configuring widgets and pages and that kind of thing. It's SP header menu. So in here, and if you don't know, you poke around a little bit. There is knowledge catalog requests approvals. Does that kind of look like this? Knowledge catalog requests. Yeah, well, that's what it looks like. And now that I know that, I can go into requests and say, what are you doing? It says, I'm going to bring up a page called My Requests. Wonderful. Let's go look at what is on My Requests. How do you know that? Well, you could go to Pages and look up My Requests, but this isn't the most fun way to do it because it doesn't really tell you well, maybe it does, but it's not the easiest way to see what are the widgets on this screen. I've got containers, I've got things in here. Oh, look, here's an instance of My Request. Another way to do this would be go to the portal configuration and go to the designer, find the My Request page. Somebody's got a mystery for you. There's always a way. There's My Request page, and it says, I have this widget right here called My Request. So My Request page, My Request widget. What does it do? Is there any configuration options under here that might be helpful? Dead end. There really isn't. Okay, then it's time to go look at how does that widget behave? We got to dive in a little deeper. So if we go back to, oh, not that. I want to go back to the widget editor. Let's go look at that My Widgets, My Request. What is it? I don't want to edit an existing widget. There it is, My Request. They go by title here. Or actually, the display value, not the widget name. So here's My Request. You go, Chuck, what's going on? Well, first I want to know, how does it get the data that it gets? That's in the server script. And the server script is doing a couple different things. There's some functions in here. Get field. There's one called the big main function. And I noticed that it's got a few specific. Let me blow that up so you can see it a little bit better. few specific queries in here. One around SC rec item, one around SC request, and then I noticed this other one. There's SC request. See if it's in here. What's it called? I'm not seeing it at the moment. I'm wondering if my instance is different than theirs. Hang on, I got to cheat for a second and go to my answer. The answer is maintain items ordered. It's not in here. It might be a plugin for Service Portal that's just not on my instance. Nope, it's not in here. Catalog administration. Oh, maybe it is. There it is. Okay. Name of the filter is called request filter. So in here is where I spotted. It's not in here. Okay. In here is where I spotted a table called request_filter. And I said, wow, what's that? I don't know. I haven't done service catalog administration in a long, long time. But then once I discovered that, I said, you know, I'll bet there's a module to this. And sure enough, under service administration, down on the bottom. Where did I just see that? I'm going all over the place. My request filter. The name of this table is actually, as you suspected, request_filter. And it says, these are the things this widget will display. Now again, I don't know if I'm missing a plugin or something because I didn't see that in the script. What we did is created a new one of these called my CLS work, give it a title, point it to a table, which is X something something CLS work, that table. You want it to apply to desktop, service portal, mobile, you be the deal. I want to take the records that are filtered by, maybe assigned to or open by, is dynamic me, so that I don't get all the records on everybody's list. There's that dynamic filter again. And what page would you like to open up when someone clicks one of these records? Oftentimes, if it's based on task, the ticket page works just fine. And then put in what secondary fields you want. You want the number, you want the short description, that kind of thing. I would make it match the other fields. Not sure if that's going to work, but that was the end result. It's just putting a configuration entry in a table. This is a great, great example of how to make your application data-driven so that I'm not going back to this widget and changing code every time I need to add a table. Let people modify the behavior of your widget based on data from a table. It might not even be a specific widget. It might be the way your application behaves on approvals or routing work or whatever. You want your application to be data-driven. Put those records in a table that somebody can configure. Make sure it's got the right access. You don't just want any old user on the system to be able to discover this table and start reconfiguring your application. But I don't have to go back to the dev instance to add a table here or change an approver on that thing. It's all data-driven. Very key if you want to reduce your maintenance costs on the way you extend the applications, the way you build in new functionality, the way you build new custom applications or integrations. Data-driven, just tattoo that on the back of your arm. and using get value. What do you say we go test this, see if it works? If I refresh this page, do my work. Hey, look, they show up. So somewhere in my widget, I'm not seeing it, but it actually worked. Here are the tasks, and if I click one, it goes to the ticket page, which renders this timeline style thing. Very cool, very easy answer, but didn't know when I started out what I was looking for, that it already existed. But if you do a little reverse engineering, look through a little bit of code. You don't have to be a JavaScript expert to go, what is this thing looking at? Now, obviously, there was a gap in this example, but it was there when I was looking on Friday and said, how do you get your tables and what is this? That's the big thing is, that's odd. Just like I guess there is a scientific method to computer science. It's like, that's curious. Let's go discover that. So that is my, how did I learn about maintaining tables in this request widget? Pretty cool. That was one thing I wanted to talk to you about. Are there others? Yes, of course there are. And that would be in my idea pool. Using code in annotations. I've been doing a lot of projects, so you guys, because I haven't been doing this show for a while, you get a lot of cool stuff. Using code in annotations. Want to make dynamic annotations? This is pretty slick. Let's go back to my punching bag of an application, my CLS 528, and I'm in that scope. Let's go to the CLS 528 persons application. And this is a very simple table with name, age, phony social security number, phony age, and active yes, no. Let's say, for example, I want to put the person's name. Yeah, welcome, Andrew Barnes, in an annotation. Okay. If I go to configure form design and place an annotation, okay, form designer is very easy to use. Let's get an annotation. I don't see it over here. Is it a field type? It is a field type annotation. So put an annotation up there, click the gear to configure it. An info blue box would be nice. And I say, hello. What do you put? Let's just put hello to start with. Okay. Save that. Refresh the form. And I'll bet you $1 that I have annotations turned off. I do. So let's go to toggle annotations on and reload the form. Nothing. Interesting. I can see a space on there. I don't even know if they're on or off. There it is. Hello. I must have missed. Okay. It says hello. I want it to say hello, Andrew Barnes. Two solutions to this. One is we can make a dynamic annotation, which people could turn off. The other is we could put it in a client script and push this stuff with a display business rule. Let the client script pick it up out of G Scratchpad. Your call. If you want it to be persistent or if you want it to be optional. Okay, the client script would be you're going to get this message whether you like it or not. The annotation is you're going to get it, but you can turn it off. Okay, two different use cases for two different things. The annotation method, if I go back to configure form layout, I'm going to see that annotation in a slightly different presentation. It says it's an info blue box, and I could put in some HTML. Let's hard code my name in italics. Ta-da! Now note, it's now in italics, just like I expected. If you go back to configure form design, the annotation is there, but the italics is not. Don't modify custom annotations in Form Designer or you will lose your customizations and it will come out. It'll just fall apart. So important distinction between form layout and form design. So let's leave this. We didn't change anything. Just verify that real quick. We did not change anything. We did not change anything. Go back to form layout. And I can also put in interesting little tidbits like $curly brace to say gs.getMessage save. I'm just pulling out something I know is in the messages table. But I can put that in as a translator. Close the curly brace. Don't forget to close the curly brace. And it will go get the translated message to save. So I could change this UI message to something completely different. And there is save. How do I know that it actually got the save? Well, trust me on that. If it didn't exist in sysui message, it's not going to be there. Oops, sorry. I wanted to go back to configure form layout. How do I get the value of the person's name in there? Well, with that, I got to remember this. I'm out on a stretch here because it's been a while. I could put, let's try JavaScript, current.getValue, name. Can't remember if the JavaScript is required or not, and it says, hello, Andrew Barnes. It is required. So if you don't put it in curly braces, it doesn't evaluate. How do I know that? Because we can go test it and say, let's look at this and go here. If you forget the curly braces, it's just going to print out JavaScript colon, and you go, oh, why isn't it running that code? You need it in the dollar curly brace thing to run the code. So a little bit of insight as to how to make dynamic annotations, which may be nice if you want to provide somebody with instructions or a due date and say, hey, this is now past the due date of September 30th, 2019. You could grab that expected start date or end date or whatever, due date, and put that right in the annotation and go, no, you're not having a good time. Now that sounds a little more conditional and might be more applicable to a client script. So take it with a grain of salt. I'll show you the client script method in just a second since we have a few minutes. I put that in there and I can say hello name. I could also, you might have guessed, do something like dollar curly brace gs.get message hello, so that my greeting is also translated, parenthesis curly brace, comma, or I could collapse these into one big message in the gs.get message and say hello, dollar curly brace, all one. Anyway, now, ooh, that's an interesting question. If I go to System UI Messages, I want to try something. This is completely new. I haven't tried this yet. If I make a new message, I'm going to call this CLS 528 hello, so it doesn't get mixed up with any other hello messages, and I put in a parameter, hello 0. That accepts a parameter from gs.getMessage. So if I go back to my incident of that history thing, and I go to my Andrew Barnes record, configure the form layout, look at the annotation, put these together as hello. How do I get the second argument in there? Could I just put in, it's got to be an array if I remember right, current.getValue name, and I'm missing a parentheses up here. You know, this is getting too hard to read. I need an editor now. So let's throw it in here. Well, that's not much better. Let's see, get message is closed. So here's my key, which I need to say CLS 528 underscore hello. That's the key in SysUI message that I want to get. And as a parameter, I need to send it an array of objects. How do I know this? I looked it up. It's on the developer portal. And then I don't need the comma. Do I have a closing for the get message? I don't. That needs to go inside of the curly brace. Just making sure all the syntax is right, because when you start getting into stuff like this, it can get really... So I have open curly brace, close curly brace. Thank you, VS Code, for matching these for me. Open paren, close paren. That's matched where it should be. Open square bracket, close square bracket, open, close, good. And we don't need everything after this. I'm relying on one key with a parameter to get me this translated message. We're going to get into something like this in TechNow 70. Yeah, 70. There's a 71. 70. Save that, and I get hello, Andrew Barnes. That's exactly what I wanted. I don't have to put the JavaScript colon in there. I don't need two messages. I can do this in one. It takes a parameter and it displays whatever that parameter is. If I someday decide to change that to just say, instead of hello, Andrew Barnes, using the get value, I could make it say hello world. Just replace current.getValue name with world. And it will say hello world, because it's passing world as a parameter. That way I can use the same key to say hello on any other form. I can use that as a translated string of text anywhere else. With any language, I put in a new key into the messages file, again, TechNow 70 that we'll get to. So a little bit about translating and making configurable annotations. How would you do this with a client script? First, let's take our annotation off of there. So you can do this either way. You can remove through form design very fast. Go boom, boom, done. Okay, I don't know if that's much quicker than doing it the other way. but I don't have to navigate away from my page. Annotation gone. The other way would be to first configure a display business rule. These aren't used too much. So it's an interesting use case. The display business rule, most of the major use cases for this are to put things into the G scratch pad. And I often call this, the scratch pad. It's on my person table already. I do need it advanced, so I'm going to use a script. This is not going to be before or after async. It's going to be display, which gets rid of all those options. And my advanced is going to have one line of code in it. It's going to say G scratch pad. This is an object that you've got that you can put anything into. It's just an object. You could put more objects into it. G scratch pad dot some object, G scratch pad array, G scratch pad functions, G scratch pad. I'm going to use a simple property called name and use current dot get value of name in there. Okay, that's it. I'm just loading something into Scratchpad. It gets passed when the form is loaded, and then a client script can latch onto that. So I would need a corresponding client script. I could do this in Studio as well, but I just thought I'd show you a different way. Client script called display hello. Client script is going to happen on the desktop on load. So it becomes very easy. And then my script gets the name out of the scratch pad. So gform.add info message could say hello. I want that translated bit though. Okay, I want to be able to send it the translated piece. How do I do that? CLS 528 hello. Need to put the key up here or the entire message, but effectively it's the key. So when the client script is being loaded, it says, oh, I need to go get a translation before I send this off to the client. Otherwise, your client script runs and you don't put this in there, it's going to say, here's a client script. Now I need a message. Now I need to go back to the server. And it does a synchronous call, which you don't want synchronous calls. Just trust me. If you don't know what that means, don't do them. Okay. Put the key in there. It will be preloaded before it gets to the message. And then I say CLS 528. So anything you see in a get message, it's not gs.getMessage down here. Anything you see in a get message, CLS 528, needs to be there. So get the message that corresponds to this key. This key is going to be something in sysui message and use gform add info message. What about that parameter? Well, doesn't work the same way, but we can try. If we say gform, we need gscratchpad dot name. Could we just patch gscratchpad name as the same type of parameter? From what I read, getMessage and gs.getMessage do not have the same format, but we're going to find out. And it says the key, because I used the wrong key, didn't I? Let's go back to Studio. This is going to be easier in Studio. Collapse, client, display hello. I probably used the wrong key, didn't I? You guys saw that and you were yelling at me. CLS, hello. Okay, different way to do a client script. Go back to our form, which is here. Reload. Hello, curly brace 0. Clearly not going to work in this situation. So the key doesn't get the translated parameters. It doesn't insert the parameters the same way you would think. In this case, I would need a different key that just says hello and then do the old-fashioned concatenation thing, unfortunately, using gform.getValue. Or the gscratchpad value that I passed in. Not optimal. I wish getMessage had a way to pass parameters to the key to do that beforehand, but unfortunately, the parameters aren't known until the client script loads. By that point, it's too late to do the translation with the parameter. So I kind of get why it doesn't happen if you follow the logic there. That's going to take me to the top of the hour, and I appreciate you joining me for this show. Let's do this for the sign-off. Thank you very much. Remember, if you found something helpful, useful, or entertaining in this video, click the like button on YouTube. Click the helpful button on the community. Very much appreciated to let other people know there is something important or valuable in this video. Until next time, happy coding, happy ServiceNow administration and development, and I will talk to you again real soon. Take care. Bye.